Hi everybody, I'm Carissa with 7th Street Gifts in Newport, Kentucky. We have a little small family-owned and operated brick-and-mortar apothecary shop, and we're here for February with the Lawrenceburg Public Library, the Friends of the Lawrenceburg Public Library, and most importantly you, for checking out and expressing interest in the Year of Tea for the second month of the year, February, and this month is Young Hyson. So we're going to do another green tea. Last month, January, was jasmine green tea, and this is a Young Hyson. And so this is a pure green tea. It hasn't been flavored or adulterated at all, where last month's was flavored with the jasmine flowers. So the teas that you're going to experience this year with your Year of Teas are all loose leaf. And I just want to kind of approach that a little bit because we're all so accustomed to tea bags and not having loose leaf botanicals to steep and turn into our tea. So loose leaf is the original tea form before tea bags, and we'll talk about this another month, but tea bags were actually a pretty late invention. It was the late 1800s, early 1900s that they even became like a product and manufactured and made and became like a commercial good. So for the most time that we've all consumed and drank tea as a human race, it's been in the loose leaf form like you're going to get in your kits. And then in the world of tea drinking, the loose leaf is supposed to be the finer, higher quality, higher grade tea versus the bag. And so when you do use loose leaf, even when you use your cool little tea bag that we're going to include in here, you do almost always have a sediment left behind. So there's like a little bit of grain or granule in that botanical sediment that kind of escapes during the steeping process, and especially with loose leaf, and you have a little bit left in the bottom of your glass. And we've all heard that saying, it's all in the tea leaves, or we're waiting to read the tea leaves to find out about the election results, or things of that nature. Well, that saying originates from loose leaf tea drinking that was consumed because it's a very widely consumed drink, the second in the world after water. And people would give themselves readings or kind of use it as a prophecy, sort of like a horoscope, or how you would maybe stargaze and try to answer life's questions. And they would look at the tea leaves and swirl them around, kind of like the ink block guy, I can't think of his, Hirschoff or whatever his name is, that would hold up the ink blots, and you would say what you saw in it. You do the same thing with your tea leaves, so you would look at it and kind of maybe see a design, an initial, a number, a shape, whatever it was, but you would use the leftover sediment in your loose leaf cup of tea to give yourself a reading, for lack of better terms. So even today you'll still hear that saying, well, it's all in the tea leaves, or we're waiting to read the tea leaves, and that's where that originates from, is ancient tea drinking, when it was always loose leaf. We didn't have all the fancy utensils and strainers and bags, and you always had sediment and botanical left behind after your cup of tea. Now, I'm going to say this every single time all year long because I find it fascinating, and I think if the only thing we all ever come away from this Year of Tea is this, it'd be worth it. And that's that all true tea, so anything that's a true tea, not like a chamomile tea or a peppermint tea that we would call tea, but those are truly tisanes because they don't have Camellia sinensis, a tea leaf, in them. All true real teas come from Camellia sinensis, the same botanical, a shrubby, woodsy, like kind of like almost a small tree, or a kind of like a Rosa Sharon plant, or even a really good rose bush that you can cultivate and kind of train. But they're real similar, like woodsy in that nature. So they all come from Camellia sinensis. So the tea that you had last month, the jasmine green, same plant. The tea, the Young Hyson, we're going to have in February, same plant. The tea that we're going to have next month, like black tea, with some robust flavor and a higher caffeine content, that also comes from the same exact plant, Camellia sinensis. So it depends on what time of year they harvest it, and then how it's treated, cured, oxidized, smoked, or none of those things after it's been harvested, that changes the complexity, flavor, color, caffeine content, and bodies of all tea. But if it's a true tea, a real tea, no matter if it's green, white, black, it all comes from Camellia sinensis, the same botanical and the same plant. Now your Young Hyson is a really deluxe, like earthy, pure unadulterated tea. So it really gives you an idea, and the look too, of what a tea leaf looks like plucked right off of the bush, and kind of how it would taste all on its own without any other treatment or complexities or flavors added to it. And so it's compared to the flavor of forest after a spring rain. So very, very earthy, and almost like, you wouldn't want to say dirt because that doesn't sound good, but the jasmine green is like a grassy, kind of leafy, complexy, but this tastes like, I don't know, earthier and deeper, kind of like if you ate like moss or grass right off of the earth floor. Or maybe if you have a little kid that liked to dig in the dirt and would always end up chewing on their digging tool or whatever. It literally tastes like the earth, but it's not in a negative way, like in a good way. So it's really grounding too. If you ever wanted to like kind of incorporate meditation or chakra balancing into it, this would be a really good one for your root chakra, which is also your first chakra. So a great way to start the year is kind of anchor and earthbound yourself and get rooted and then go up from there. So all of the loose leaf tea in our kits all year long are certified organic, and they're all fair trade, and they're from established tea farms. So there are tea farms in North America now, but ours are all from the eastern hemisphere of the world. Young Hyson comes from China. And I just wanted you to know that they're ethically sourced and from generations and families and farms that have basically cultivated and grown Camellia sinensis tea as long as their culture and people have existed. So like the true blue, the real stuff. So we're getting like a premium, high-end, organic, fair trade tea. And then if you're ever worried about ethical sources of teas, which we all should be, this is the source that is ethical and you can enjoy it without any concern. So Young Hyson, also called the dragon tea, and that would probably be because it is earthy and kind of strong and powerful and has that complexity and that base, that strength to it that a dragon would have. Now when it's a green tea and not a black or a white or another type of tea, the leaves are just plucked right from the Camellia sinensis bush, and then they're withered, which basically just left out to kind of dry, but not dry, just kind of wilt. I would probably use the term wilt instead. And then they're rolled while they're still kind of damp, and then they're dried before any curing or oxidation takes place. So they're kind of stunted or thwarted and preserved in their natural kind of freshly picked or plucked state when it's a green tea. And when they cure it and pluck it and roll it this way, it stops any natural oxidation that would happen if you left it out to screen dry or put in the sun or smoke, which will be ways other teas in the future are going to be treated, and we'll get to that. But this is a pure, crude, like a fresh off the vine tea. And I think that's a good one to start with too, because we're going to start with the primitive, crude forms of the green teas. And then as the year progresses, we're going to build on with complexity and talk about different techniques in oxidizing and smoking and curing that takes place that changes the leaves. So this is almost as if we would go out and pluck a tea leaf ourselves and let it sit out on the picnic table while we maybe went in and had a lemonade, and then we came out and we rolled them all up. So this all happens in a day's time, a very short window. So it's picked, plucked, withered, and rolled all in the same day. So when you do that and you kind of stunt or thwart, you get a very, very freshly green, harvested, unadulterated tea. And one of the other aspects of doing tea this way and making it a green tea, or not making it, but cultivating or curing it as a green tea, is it has the lowest caffeine of all true teas, green teas do. Because the longer it's oxidized and processed and the more enzymatic action that takes place, that increases the caffeine level in tea leaves. So if it's a green tea and hardly anything's been done to it, that goes along with a very low caffeine content. Now Young Hyson is very dry, and you wouldn't think of a drink as being dry, but you know how like some wines are dry? It's a very dry, light body tea, and the dryness is almost so much that it can kind of make me feel like my thirst isn't quenched, which is an odd thing. You know, after you drink, you don't want to still be thirsty. So I like it as a great iced tea, although you may certainly have it as a hot tea, and I don't dislike it as a hot tea, but it is just a very dry tea, and once you taste it, you'll understand what I mean. So the coldness of the temperature and an extra bunch of ice cubes kind of makes it a little more enjoyable for me. That's just my personal tip, is I prefer Young Hyson iced, but there's really no wrong way to have it. So in conclusion, we'll talk about the February tea one more time, Young Hyson, or the Dragon Tea. And it is a true green tea picked and plucked from the plant Camellia sinensis. This one comes from China, so she's a long way from home. A very complex, dry, earthy flavor. So in conclusion, for February's tea, the Young Hyson green tea, we are going to encourage you to try it iced, and let us know what you think. It's earthy, it's fresh, it's clean, and it's a pure tea. It really gives you the sense of what a tea would be like, you know, plucked right off the vine. Now next month, for March, we're going to do a black tea, and I'm not sure which one yet because we have so many to choose from, but I'll send Denise the information, and you can watch your newsletter and sign up online and read the description, and we'll tell which black tea, because in the world of teas, even black ones, there's many to choose from. So remember that all tea and every tea that we drink this whole year long, thanks to Lawrenceburg Public Library and the Friends of, is going to come from Camellia sinensis. So it's basically what the human's hand do to it after it's plucked, how they treat it, cure it, or don't, that gives it its flavor, its color, and its caffeine content. So we're going to examine and explore the world of tea for 2023 and kind of expand our palates too. It's sort of fun to see that something that comes from the same plant with just a little bit of tweaking from man can really change in so many ways. So thanks again, Carissa from 7th Street Gifts, Newport, Kentucky. We're open 7 days a week. Come see me sometime and register next month for the black tea. Thanks, everybody.